This is the CrossGen podcast.
I did it. It's finally done.
What?
I did it.
You messed up my opening.
Yeah, but no, I don't. No.
This
No.
is
No.
the
No.
CrossGen podcast.
No.
Sound check.
This is how we chill in 21. Yes. Yeah, he doesn't get that reference. You get that reference?
I guess.
Oh my.
Explain, please.
This is how we chill in 93.
This is how we do it.
No, this is how we chill in 93 too.
This is how we do it.
No, that's not the song. This is
It's
how we
Friday night.
For real? You don't know what song I'm talking about?
What is that?
This is how we chill from 93 till. This is how we chill from 93 till. This is how we chill from for oh my god, it's like the spirit Spirits of Mischief. Oh my gosh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Do you know who those cats are?
No, he doesn't know.
Well,
he doesn't
it's
know.
one of those. He sent me a text the other day claiming it was part of my rap thing. So
yeah, because
I can only assume it's a rapper.
I'm sending him pieces of my pieces of my playlist bit by bit for rap, just to get him into it, but slowly. That's why it's no. What the heck? Oh my gosh, you need to hear this. You guys need to hear it too. And I'm not talking about them two. I'm talking about you, as in you, the podcast people, audience. Yeah,
fans.
Yeah, Andre, you need to.
He cannot
just
that.
say
that's illegal.
Is it?
No.
Yes.
It's very legal.
No,
I made it legal.
Something? We have more pressing matters at hand.
Yes.
Like for instance, you probably don't know this.
Conspiracies.
You probably don't know this, but
did J.P. Morgan?
No. Godzilla has been cited once before.
So has Anguirus. So has Anguirus.
No. But like an actual historical sighting. Because you see,
yeah. People post weird things like they believe that Godzilla has been sighted and stuff. I just realized this is a microphone check.
Yeah, I know. We still haven't even gotten into the actual show. Hold that thought. Hold that.
Yes.
We're gonna end this ridiculously long.
How many
microphone check? It's
2
almost
minutes.
3 minutes of a microphone.
Oh yeah, 3
check.
minutes. 3 minutes.
So hold that thought.
Wait.
And when we come back,
3 minutes.
You're going to tell us this magnificent story of an actual Godzilla sighting in real life. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
Sound check over. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CrossGen podcast. As you heard before, our little sound check went a little overboard, but AJ,
what
Godzilla
were you saying?
Okay, so
sighting. Is this like the Loch Ness monster type of thing?
Okay, so here it goes.
Okay, hit us with it.
So my source is a very questionable website with very questionable information.com.
Is this like GAnon?
So
oh god.
It's GAnon.
As many people know, in 1912 there was a ship that went out to sea.
No. Seriously?
No.
Is this actually ties into this conspiracy corner?
I'm
Godzilla
conspiracy.
This is a heck of a segue. Jesus Christ.
So many people know this ship because there was a very I'm not gonna say cheesy, but it was good for its time, I guess. Yes. So a lot of people would have you believe that this ship was sunk by an iceberg, but this is not the case. There have been a select few studies carried out that actually show that the hull was ripped apart, not by an iceberg. The way the metal tore, it wasn't consistent with scratches or, I guess, tearings of an iceberg. No, it was like something clawed through it.
There's no scratches though.
Is the boat from Jungle Cruise?
What the heck?
No,
Cruise. It's not from Jungle Cruise. Just hear me out. So after this famous ship sunk, there were reports of deep blue lights where this ship sank.
Okay.
By various witnesses, all on the site, a very questionable website with very questionable information.com.
What?
Related to GAnon.
GAnon. Oh.
And the ship.
The CIA built their own part of the CIA. It's Operation G-Force.
And
that's
so,
what they call it.
And so, this website, which the government has tried to shut down numerous times, by the way, because they're spreading, they're trying to get the truth out there. The truth is out there. Yes, you know what I mean?
Of course it is.
The connection is not only that Godzilla is responsible for this ship's wreckage, but the ship in question, you might be asking?
No.
It's the Titanic.
Oh. But that still doesn't...
So is Godzilla part of the Bermuda Triangle also?
No.
I didn't realize that the Titanic was
that would
around.
Be perfect. I didn't realize that Godzilla was a thing because I thought Godzilla was quote unquote born in 1954, not 1912.
Wait, 1912 was Titanic?
That's when they started to make movies about it, popularizing it. But before that, it was a very low profile
urban legend?
Yes, urban legend.
Seriously?
Well,
no, this has been a story that is completely manufactured.
Let me tell you about let me tell you about SpongeBob and how he sunk the Titanic. No.
Hold on. Okay.
Let's get this in.
Let's tell our audience who's been patiently waiting for like 9 minutes now.
Wow, for real.
Let's tell them what we're doing today. Today on the CrossGen podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe to the CrossGen podcast. Today, we are doing, all together now, Conspiracy Corner. And today, the CrossGen podcast asks the bold question.
What didn't happen to the Titanic?
Yes.
Yeah.
What really sank
the Titanic?
Because we've got mounds and mounds of evidence from the interweb.
Right?
By experts, subject matter experts in the field, especially kaiju, right?
Yes.
And we're going to review and dissect some of these theories on what sank the Titanic. Although we already have in historical record a 3-hour account of what really happened with the Titanic, right?
I'm just flashing them JP Morgan photos as they're talking. Yes.
Which is interesting because what the heck does Chase have to do with the Titanic? But we'll get into that.
I really do wonder.
But like I said, we have a historical account already. A 3-hour documentary, right?
Yeah.
Created and starring Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Which is true.
True.
Not. But anyway, let's get started. So, just to give you guys perspective on what we're talking about, I'm going to be taking this straight from the Wikipedia because we're going to describe the ship in question that has spawned all these theories on what sank the Titanic. So again, like I said from Wikipedia, the RMS Titanic was a British passenger liner operated by the White Star Line that sank in the North Atlantic Ocean on April 15, 1912, after striking an iceberg during her maiden voyage from Southampton, that's England, not Southampton, Long Island, to New York City, which is in New York. There were 2,224 passengers and crew aboard. More than 1,500 people died, making the sinking at the time one of the deadliest of a single ship and the deadliest peacetime sinking of either a superliner or a cruise ship to date. This boat really has sparked the imagination of a lot of people because it's been, the inspiration for a lot of artistic work. And not only that, films, movies, documentaries. I mean, even James Cameron, who created the iconic Titanic film, actually made a documentary and went down there in a submarine to find the Titanic.
Damn.
And it's also been credited as founding material for the disaster film genre.
Oh, wow.
So
really?
So there is a lot here to unpack. One of the things about the Titanic was that it was claimed to be at the time unsinkable, which is kind of ironic considering what happened. That was one of the things, and because of the fact that everybody's, the company and the people who built it said it was unsinkable, the world in large was in shock and outrage at how many people died with this disaster, and along with all the failures in terms of not just regulatory, because we see in the film that they didn't have enough boats for all these people because of the hubris that they were like, well, this boat will never sink, right? But not only that, but the operational failures as well, because again, we see in the film, this clearly could have been avoided. Well, it could have in a sense, right? And again, we're going by the film, right? But it kind of sparked a lot of talk in terms of maritime safety after that. People were now saying, hey, we're really not as safe as we think. The unsinkable sank. So it's pretty much a big deal, Again, the Titanic, huge in pop culture, books, songs, films, exhibits,
Can
memorials.
I just quickly interject?
Yes.
I actually just, in looking up this photo, I actually found out that there is an actual Dark Horse comic with Godzilla sinking the Titanic.
There you go. So you know what?
Yeah, Dark Horse Comics.
Damn. For real? I mean, I figured Dark Horse would...
King of the Monsters, issue 11.
Oh my gosh.
So,
seriously?
You know AJ's conspiracy theory has maybe a shred of truth. It's in a comic book. It has to be real.
It's a panel from it.
What is this?
You got to save that panel.
Oh my gosh. That is disgusting.
So at the time, the Titanic was supposed to be the biggest ship in the world, and this thing literally split in two after hitting said iceberg, and the thing sunk to a depth of 12,000 feet. So literally, this was a big thing. Just an interesting note: the last survivor of the sinking, a woman called Melvina Dean, who was 2 months at the time. She was literally a baby. She was the last survivor of the Titanic disaster. She died in 2009 at the age of 97. Dang. So literally there is nobody left from that horrible episode. All right, so we've kind of laid out all the facts when it comes to the Titanic. The acknowledged reason why it sank is because it hit an iceberg. An iceberg that was, and now you guys know how an iceberg works, right?
They float.
They float,
Yeah.
but you know what? Generally, usually, the top, what you see is not the iceberg.
Yeah.
There is a substantial amount of iceberg ice underneath that's hidden to, the naked eye. So what they saw was probably a large iceberg. What they hit was probably even a larger iceberg because of the fact that everything underneath you can't see. So, and then again, I'm referencing the film again. The ship is so huge that it did not have enough time to turn, right? Because, I mean, think about it. If you're driving something that big, it's not going to be as nimble as like a little speedboat.
Yeah.
So you got all those factors in there. We've already heard our first conspiracy theory. The King of the Monsters
Okay,
was the one that sank it.
Just to be clear, that was completely manufactured.
Not so much, because if it's in a comic book,
Yeah.
Okay, well,
it had to have gotten it from someplace.
Yes.
Just saying.
They drew their inspiration from the real event. Godzilla did, in fact.
Hey,
sink
didn't
the
in the
Titanic.
original, well, not the original, but the 1998 disavowed Godzilla, Godzilla in name only, that film by Emmerich, was it? I think he was the one that directed it.
I don't remember.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, the less said, the better, right? But wasn't it in that movie that there was a scene where there was a boat that was thrown ashore and it had claws in it?
That was not the Titanic, but there was a scene like that, yes.
Okay.
You never know.
Let's twirl our mustaches here and figure this out here, because we're cracking things here. We're detectivizing this whole thing. Okay, so we've got that one. What are the other theories that are rumbling out there in terms of what sank the Titanic?
What to start with?
Where do we even begin? Is there a lot of them? Let's ask.
So there's like maybe four.
Wait, I think AJ just found one that's really off the.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I think this one should go first.
No, that one is actually like, it's not as crazy? It's definitely not. Yeah, it's not as crazy. It's definitely not plausible, but it's not as crazy as you think it is.
Let me ask this question before you go into this.
The wreckage.
Is there
no.
Is there a lot? Is there a lot of theories?
There's
out
like
there?
five or six
main ones.
5-6 main ones.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's there's nothing really else than
which is the one that you just saw, AJ, because you had this really visceral reaction to this. It was just like, whoa, what's going on over there?
That apparently the Titanic never sank.
No, but okay.
Oh,
as crazy,
is that the one you were talking about today?
As crazy as it seems, and it's definitely crazy, and I do not agree with that at all. But just hear me out. Don't hear that out. Hear me out.
Well, first, let him explain what it actually means, or are you going to do the explanation?
Yeah, I'm going to explain it.
Okay, I
basically
gotta hear.
They found okay. Yes, the evidence doesn't match up. I mean, that goes for literally everything here. But here's where it's sorta barely plausible. They had the Titanic, but what you didn't know is on the White Star Line. They also had another identical twin ship called, I think it was the Oceanic. I'm not too sure. It was the Oceanic.
Is it the Oceanic or the Oceana?
I'm seeing
Oceanic.
RMS Olympic here.
Okay. Olympic.
I think you're confusing Lost.
Huh.
Oceanic Airlines.
What the heck?
You don't remember Lost?
No.
The plane crashes on the island.
That's the
plane. Show.
Yeah, I know that, but like
the name of the plane was Oceanic Airlines something or other.
I didn't know that was the name.
Okay.
That still doesn't make sense. Oceanic Airline. What? But anyway. So you have a twin ship. Basically, what they wanted to do is to pay to receive a payment. Because the Titanic was, I believe it it killed a bunch of people or something. I don't remember. Oh God, hold on.
Who? What?
Okay.
I'm lost.
Okay, no.
What? Who?
I made the mistake of not looking. Okay, yes, it crashed into a warship in 1911. That was the Titanic and White Star Line took the blame, of course, and they were unable to receive an insurance payout for that.
The Titanic or the Olympic?
The Titanic.
Okay.
Oh no. The Olympic. Okay. So basically was that they took the Olympic and masqueraded it around like the Titanic, and then they would they would collect the insurance payment when it sunk. However, their original intent wasn't to kill anybody, but accidents happen, I guess, and it apparently ran over a darkened rescue ship, and then yeah. So that's basically it. It's a failed. It's not failed. They tried replacing a ship to fake. They tried faking I still don't get this.
It's an insurance scam.
Yeah, I know it's an insurance scam.
That's basically what it is. The Olympic was built before the Titanic.
Yeah, it's an insurance scam, and that's what that's basically all there is. I'm still
How does that make sense? Because a ship still sank.
Because, so the insurance scam was to try and get Hold on. Let me.
I don't understand the theory at all.
Okay. The plan was to get rid of the Olympic to collect insurance money.
Okay.
Because at the time, from what I understand, the Titanic wasn't completely finished. So the Olympic was originally involved in a collision with the Royal Navy cruiser, right, which damaged both ships. Okay. So this is where I guess that theory is kind of picking up steam, because you know what, you already have this ship which was super expensive to build and to begin with. They weren't insured for the cost of fixing the ship.
Oh.
Okay. So that means that at any point in time right there, that ship couldn't sail because it was out. And that also means that if they tried to fix it, the Titanic would be delayed in terms of them, getting it ready. So,
they basically
the guy said, you know what, I can't have two ships and they're not making money. I might as well have one ship that can make money.
So
they sink the other. Yeah,
they faked the Olympics death.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, same with like the rest of all conspiracy theories. Why did you have to go through the extra mile planning?
Here's the thing. What you do is you sink the Olympic, right? The Olympic,
quote unquote, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Say that it was the Titanic.
Yeah, I know.
And then let the Olympic be the Titanic. Let the Titanic be the Olympic afterwards. Because remember, it's going to look weird, right? If you send the Olympic out there and then it sinks, and they'll be like, "Oh, wait a second. You guys sank the ship on purpose just to get the money."
Well,
that's why they switched the names.
Yeah, I know that, but even still, like, why go for the extra mile when you could can't you just sell the Olympic or something?
Not if it's damaged. Remember, the whole point is that the Olympic crashed into that Royal Navy cruiser.
Yeah, I know.
It was damaged like really badly.
Okay.
So technically, it's going to cost a lot. Whoever you sell it, it's going to cost a lot of money for them to fix it.
So this is plausible, in a way.
Listen, then what you're saying is that the Titanic
didn't
really sink.
Plausible
that they changed the name from the Titanic to the Olympic. You know what I mean?
Barely plausible.
AJ
very
looks
plausible
confused right here.
In fact, there is evidence that the Titanic did sink. I'm saying when I say plausible, I say that so lightly that you can't even see. It's like it's so transparent that you can't even see lightly. It's not even there. It's like Casper the Ghost.
Out of all of them, this kind of theory, I can kind of see it happening.
But there's one more that's sort of plausible.
It's just there's a lot of things that have to go right to make this thing work. AJ still looks confused. What's going on there?
I don't even know.
And wait, hold on.
Don't even know.
For the evidence, apparently they found all the items, and they were numbered 401, while the Olympic construction number was 400. So you could say that the Titanic was the one that really sunk. But even so, what if they actually like switched around the number, right? Even still, that, like I said, that's just, you're going through all this trouble just for this plan that
you're talking about. The construction numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can do it.
Yeah, but like I was saying, you're going through all this trouble for. This thing. It's like
the guy that came up with this conspiracy theory, it was it's not Robin Gardner was the one that came up with probably one of these. He actually put it in a book called Titanic, the Ship That Never Sank. And so his whole thing was the Titanic and the Olympic were basically kind of the same, right? Talking to what you were saying, some of the things on the ship had these construction numbers. And so the construction number of the Olympic was 400. The Titanic was 401. This is the thing that kind of breaks his theory. Yes, I know. We'll talk about that in a second.
I didn't even see that one before.
But this is kind of what breaks the theory for a lot of people, is because when they recovered the Titanic, all the construction numbers that were found on it was 401, which would tend to,
yeah, I know,
say that this was actually the Titanic. But I mean, there is, this whole thing. I mean,
I'm just trying to make sense out of this conspiracy theory.
So just to boil it down, this is the conspiracy theory in the simplest sense. The Olympic, which is the first ship built by the White Line, right? The Olympic hits another ship, a Royal Navy cruiser, and is damaged. Now, the insurance on the Olympic did not allow for the insurance company to pay for the repairs on the Olympic. At the same time, the Titanic is being built. It's not completed yet. So now the guy has two huge boats, two very expensive boats, not doing anything. All right. He can't make any money off of it. Right now, it's the proverbial money pit. So what he concocts is, you know what? I'm going to send the Olympic out there, sink it, say that was actually the Titanic, because now they can't say, well, you know what? You sank the Olympic knowing that you were trying to get insurance money for the first accident. But now if it's not the Olympic, it's the Titanic. The Titanic was the one that sank, right? So now Olympic sinks, named the Titanic. And then the crazy thing is that the Titanic now is completed, but is in operation as the Olympic. That's the conspiracy theory that's being pushed here by Robin Gardner in his book. And so, he makes a lot of 1 + 1 = 3 type of connections here. And so, there's talk about, the ice that fell on the deck. He says an iceberg couldn't have caused this damage. So this is why he came up with this theory. So, I mean, kind of plausible, right? I mean, it could happen. I mean, it's not the craziest thing. We've seen things like that.
No, it's
happen.
not the craziest.
Let me just ask you one thing. The damage, was it easily noticeable? Like a giant gaping hole in the hull?
In which one? In the first accident? In the first accident, no, I don't believe that's what it was. The first accident, it smashed its ram into the side of the Olympic. The cruiser did. It damaged both ships, but not to the point where it wasn't. You couldn't go out in it. According to this here, the damage to the Olympic was to the central turbine's mountings and the keel. I don't know what any of that means because I don't know how the boat, but the way it seems like,
it wasn't
it
damaged.
wasn't to the point where you couldn't float this thing out there.
Because I was gonna say, how are you gonna get on a ship if it has a giant gaping hole in it?
They wouldn't. No.
Yeah. No.
All right, but anyway, we should probably move on.
Yes.
Okay.
Next theory.
So that's that theory. The theory that the Titanic actually never sank. It was replaced by another ship.
The second next
at the end of this episode, what I think we should do is we should kind of organize the theories to most plausible all the way to batshit crazy. Right?
Yes,
technically, I'm doing that now.
Okay, so there's where we are. So you have the ship never sank. It was replaced by another. What's the next theory that we have here?
So, as you know, I don't remember when it was, but I know it was during World War
1912 is when.
That's World War I, right?
Actually, around that
time.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In World War I, you had the Lusitania.
Yes.
And there was a lot of theories about that being something to do with the Titanic.
Actually, no. World War I was 1914 to 1918.
Okay.
But that happened after.
It happened in 1912. We were in those times. It wasn't exactly World War I, but it was in the neighborhood. Yeah. In the neighborhood. Let's put it that way.
A lot of people theorize that a German U-boat was apparently the one that sunk the Titanic. Yes.
Okay.
It did. That's what they think, right? A German U-boat came out and killed 1,198 people.
Again, not the craziest theory out there.
And it was off the coast of Ireland, apparently. And, okay, yeah, you have all this. Apparently, a number of survivors reported to have noted an unidentified... Jesus, you heard that accent? An unidentified... Frick. Why can't I say unidentified?
Take your time.
Oh my God. Stop.
You'll get there.
An unidentified vessel approximately 5 to 6 miles away. Yes.
Okay,
finally.
You got it.
Yes, and it sunk the ship, which, yeah. So, I mean, now that I look at it, it's really not that plausible. I mean, considering you have the evidence, which wouldn't really make sense. Yeah. So, you have that. I mean, yeah. That's it. There's nothing else to it.
Like I said, if you're saying that it was a U-boat, again, it was in and around that time.
Yeah, but
not even that. Here's the thing. Things didn't start ramping up in terms of World War I until 1914.
Yeah, I know. Well, you never know.
I'll give you this. U-boats were being manufactured, or rather, they were invented by 1912. But there's really no why as with regard to why a U-boat would just go and blow up a maritime liner.
The whole conflict with Germany was that, what was it? I forgot. What was the whole conflict with Germany?
That was in 1914.
Yeah, but tell me, what was it? That's when the conflict started, or is that when the conflict started to grow?
That's when it started to grow and then started. It all happened in 1914.
So there was
nothing else before 1914. Not even a whisper about.
Sure, there were some like.
Were there any random events that could have, I mean, a war, there's always a preamble to war.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, yes, but that's what I'm saying. If we're talking about World War I, that was mostly, it took place in 1914.
Yeah,
not 1912.
No, but what we're saying is that
1912, there was no real motive to blow up the Titanic.
Again, maybe they were testing the U-boats.
Yeah. They might have been testing it. I don't
like,
know. Maybe
like a real world test. It was like, okay, we're testing a technology here, and U-boats were kind of notorious, right, in the fact that they were like one of the first subs, right?
Well, yes,
that were very difficult to detect. So you can make the case if you're so abiding by this torpedo thing, that this was a real world test by the Germans to kind of see how they can get away with it.
Not to mention,
like, let's sink a ship right in the middle of Atlantic where nobody's around, and let's see if we can get away with it.
And also,
why would you run the risk of potentially angering another world power?
Well, again,
okay, hold on. Was America on their bad side already?
America wasn't even involved. As usual, I know they were in the West, and they were
trying to ignore the whole conflict. But I know Germany was the one that pushed them into the war. Where was America already on Germany's bad side, though? That's what I'm asking. Even if they weren't involved.
I'm answering you. They weren't even involved. There's nothing for them to be angry about.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, look, you don't have to be involved for somebody to hate you. If they can hate you, look, Germany was hating America from a distance until they pulled America into the conflict and made it real. What I'm talking about was Germany. Did Germany, and not necessarily were they fighting or anything like that. I'm talking about did Germany have dislikes for America even before America was dragged in? Because
I don't even think that was even a factor.
But did they?
No.
Okay.
What is there to like? I'm trying to remember, because the only reason why they sent, I think it's the Zimmerman telegram, right?
Yeah,
that was sent to Mexico. The literal only reason why they sent that is because by the time World War I was already happening, America was a potential threat if they went and joined the war effort. But aside from that, they left them alone.
Okay, so then
so
you can't like. I don't understand where the whole hate thing comes from if they weren't even tangentially related to the problem even before the problem already existed.
Well, no, not even just World War. I'm talking about any other problem. It doesn't have to be World War I related.
But that's what I'm saying.
Like, did America somehow cut off something from Germany? And given
not to my awareness, no.
Okay, so then you know what?
So here's kind of the reasons why a lot of people think that this might be a torpedo by a U-boat, because apparently after the sinking of the Titanic, there was a U.S. Senate inquiry panel with both the survivors and crew members, and while they testified that they didn't hear anything when the collision actually occurred, they did report that there were 4 loud explosions afterwards, which kind of lends itself to the theory. Now, the other thing is that, again, going back to the whole German U-boat, whether it was them or not, around this time, their technology was already done. They had already, it was ready to go. And they also had U-boats. It's confirmed that there were also U-boats that were patrolling the North Atlantic. Okay. This is an actual thing. There were U-boats in that area because the Titanic sank off of Newfoundland, right? Newfoundland, and which is in the North Atlantic.
Okay.
There's 4 explosions that these survivors heard. U-boats were known to be in that area. So I guess that's where people were latching on to the theory that, you know what, it didn't crash into an iceberg. It was an actual incident where a U-boat sank the Titanic. So that's where they're getting that from.
Okay.
The thing about it is that they really did not. The problem is, and this is the reason why it's so difficult to kind of debunk these theories with actual physical evidence, is because, you know what, this thing is buried 12,000 feet under the sea.
Yeah.
Right. To bring up those pieces to do a forensic study, especially at that time, was near impossible. Okay. Nowadays we can probably do it. You've seen James Cameron went down there himself in a mini sub and kind of, checked out the place, but back in the days, you couldn't see it. Now, forward 100 years from now, if there is any forensic evidence that would relate to that, it's probably all gone, because with the sea and the salt and the rust and the deterioration, there's never going to be able to prove it one way or another. So that's why that theory kind of still exists, Again,
I still don't get the motive, but
no,
whatever.
I know. I'm just saying this is why these things are happening, right? Because they don't buy the whole iceberg thing. So you know what? What's the next best thing? Around 1912, 1914, we know exactly what happened after that, and the fact that 3 years after the Titanic was when the Germans actually did sink that ship, the Lusitania, right? So people are putting 2 and 2 together and saying, well, hey, here it is. All right.
Maybe
second conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Right? So we've gone through 2.
Maybe with, Germany was trying to take over Europe at the time. They had the whole war going on, right? Maybe America refused to help them. And then Germany, Germany
Again,
blew
you're
up one
ascribing
of their ships.
past events to future events.
Huh? No. The war in Europe was going on before 14, 15. That was going on during 1912. You had they were trying to take over. Hold on, what was it?
No.
There was an occupation?
There was they were no. From I think no. Hold on. Am I getting this wrong? What's the bulk? Hold on.
So the World War I began July 28th, 1914, and it ended in November 11th, 1918. So
okay, you know what? Forget
it. Was a 4-year war.
I'm getting my facts wrong, but maybe because I know Germany was actually discussing their diplomatic situation with Europe at the time. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, again, like I said, there are probably things that happened that occurred before 1914, which is the whole thing really started with the July crisis when one of the heirs in Sarajevo was assassinated, right? So there was probably things going on previous to that. You had an arms race that was occurring between, France and Britain and Germany, which could have been part of this. The Anglo-German naval race. I mean, you had the Royal Navy that launched this huge technological beast called the HMS Dreadnought. It sounds like something out of Star Wars, right? And so there was that whole thing. And again, like I said, preamble to this, in around 1908, there was, a conflict in the Balkan Islands, which, so these things generally don't happen quickly.
Yeah.
There are things that lead up to it.
Well, yes,
So-
I know that.
So in that case, you could have had things that were kind of building up. Interestingly enough, 1911 and 1912 was the period where you had what's called the Italo-Turkish War,
Yeah.
which is a precursor to World War I, because it sparked this whole animosity amongst allies and their enemies and whatnot. So that time was kind of turbulent politically, so there could have been, and I'm not saying that it was, but there could have been something that, especially the ship is leaving from England is having what's called an arms race for naval supremacy with Germany at the time. Things could have gotten out of hand.
Yeah. Like, I mean, what I was trying to say before is like, with the Turkish whatever war,
the Italo-Turkish War.
I mean, yeah. What I was trying to say before is like maybe you had conflict building up in the background where it wasn't politicized. I know that governments like to do that a lot, and that's something that that's actually true. Governments do things sometimes, and I will admit, behind our backs. It's not necessarily a new thing. I'm not saying that conspiracy theorists are totally right with governments being always secretive and stuff like that, but it happens, and I understand that part. So maybe there could have been a conflict in the background that was building up to this. Titanic was an immediate, that was sort of their way, Germany's way of lighting the fire almost, and then that could have pushed them start more closer to World War I, even though America didn't really want to join. And considering how America was kind of stubborn at that time of not joining the war, they didn't respond to the Titanic.
Okay. Like I said, it is a little plausible.
Yeah, barely though.
Previously, I didn't know about the Italo-Turkish War, so that kind of colors things a little differently now, but I'm still super...
especially knowing that England and Germany were involved in this naval race, who could build the better ship, who can do it. There is some... I mean, it's very, very thin, but you can make the case, right? All right, let's get to our third conspiracy theory.
From here on out, we're jumping into...
Because these first two, you can make a case, right? That maybe, just maybe. But the ones that we're going to talk about now are really out there, right?
Deadly destroyer bomb.
Let's talk about it. So which one do you want to talk about?
Let's do the premonition first.
Okay.
Premonition.
Yeah, hold on.
There's a bunch of those.
Yeah, there was
because you showed me that one, right? But there's another one also.
Okay, so first off, what's his name? I went to the dude you were talking about earlier. There's like some sort of conspiracy website that I found.
Okay.
When looking through the websites that I pulled up Ultimate Titanic, which what the hell? What? Okay, I'm not gonna judge. I'm not gonna judge because I'm gonna give this a shot. When I scroll down, this is one of the first things I see, which we will get to in just a second. Mummy pigs. Yeah,
forget that.
But forget that.
We'll hold that one for last.
Okay, I looked at the Wreck of the Titan, a premonition.
That was done in what?
Cited
30, 40 years ago? Before it actually happened, or longer than that?
Actually, yeah, 30 years or something.
When was it?
20. No, maybe like 14 years. Sorry, 14 years.
No, 14 years before. 1898 was
1898,
when this thing was written.
The Wreck of the Titan by Morgan Robertson, foreword by Sam Leith, which I don't know what. Yeah, forget it. Basically, apparently, what this dude is saying on the ultimatetitan.com, the Wreck of the Titan was like written by Morgan Robertson, and basically in the story he was telling he was basically talking about a story of where a so-called quote Titan ship unquote hit an iceberg, and basically considering, it's basically the Titanic movie. Mm-hmm. There was a lack of lifeboats, people died, some people survived, and then Robertson, I don't know who that is, Morgan Robertson, the dude who Morgan
Arthur.
Yeah, Morgan Robertson apparently claimed to be psychic. And
when did he claim to be psychic? I'm curious.
I don't know. I'm looking at this as a very vague.
Because if he claimed to be psychic after it happened, come on.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I've got you one better. Okay. Because I have a guy who actually was psychic. It's a premonition. Okay, and he wrote it earlier than that piece of work.
Damn.
So this guy, a very accomplished British writer, William T. Stead, in 1886, he wrote an article titled "How the Mail Steamer Went Down in the Mid-Atlantic by a Survivor." In that one, he spoke of how the steamer collided with another ship. Okay, so not totally the same, but it resulted in a high loss of life due to the insufficiency of lifeboats for the passengers. Okay, that was a thing that happened at Titanic. He said this is exactly what could happen if these ships went out to sea without the necessary amount of lifeboats, right? So that in of itself is interesting. But in 1892, he published another story. And this one was called From the Old World to the New. In that one, he spoke of a vessel that had to rescue survivors from another ship that had collided with the iceberg. Okay? That's pretty interesting in and of itself, right? Now, you take that the way it is, and it's like, okay, maybe, but maybe not. The only thing is, in 1912, he was a passenger on the Titanic.
Wow.
Seriously?
And he did perish in the Titanic.
Whoa.
So, taking those two works together, you're basically writing.
Look, I'm not trying to say. I'm not trying to say.
Did he tell his own death? Because that is really
deep.
Creepy, right?
That is deep.
You talk about kind of in two articles. You talk about basically what happens with the Titanic, and then on its maiden voyage, which sinks in very much the same way, right? He's a passenger on that ship.
He was probably telling himself the irony of it all, right?
The only reason why I'm more willing to entertain that story is because A, and I say this very lightly, freakish things like that do happen in life.
Mm-hmm.
A. Mm-hmm. And B, it's not like anyone's here trying to gloat, oh, look, this is what I did or whatever. No one's trying to take credit for this. So that's the only reason why I find that one of the more plausible stories.
It was to his detriment, in fact. So I wouldn't say why he would be. I wouldn't explain why he would lie, but at the same time, it's
just really eerie.
That's not something I want.
Let me ask this question. He literally wrote the book in terms of saying of kind of highlighting the issues with these huge, Atlantic, cross Atlantic ocean liners and not having enough lifeboats. I can't imagine he would have been comfortable jumping on that ship, knowing that he wrote that, and probably looking at the ship and saying, "Man, this thing doesn't have enough lifeboats." You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that give you kind of like, I know it was a very prestigious, thing. The first thing crossing the Atlantic, the unsinkable ship, the biggest ocean liner in the history, at the time, right? But wouldn't you think that if you wrote all of that stuff and kind of detailed how these things would happen, wouldn't you kind of like be, I don't know about this, right?
It's weird because, I mean, as a writer, I guess you want to look for more material to write on, or like to give what you write extra depth. So I'm guessing he had a lot of confidence in their saying that structurally this ship can't sink. And so he figured, oh, okay, this is a chance for me to kind of live out the writing and also strengthen the writing. And that just, it really didn't go as planned.
And last thing before you, because I want to move on to the next one, right?
Yes, there's some good ones here.
Yes. It helps to understand whether this was his first time on a ship, because frankly, it's not. Look, the first time on your ship for it to sink, I mean, that's a little bit weird. But if he was constantly going on ships, like, I wouldn't say it was bound to happen, but I mean, it could happen, and it wouldn't be his first time, like, taking that small of a risk, even, and then ending up to be, this thing, right?
Yeah.
So if it was his first time, then I'll say fine. I don't agree with it, but I'll say it was like, it's definitely eerie. But if this was more than once going on a ship like this, then I mean, okay.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. This one I'm gonna hijack real quick because these are very, very quick ones, and I want to save the one that we're talking about kind of for last, because that one was like really, really cool, right? But this one deals with science. Science is the reason why the Titanic went down.
Okay.
One conspiracy theory is that an aurora steered the Titanic to its doom, and a solar storm hindered the crew from calling for help. Right?
There was no sign of storm.
A solar storm.
What's a solar storm?
It's a solar flare that reaches Earth and kind of messes up with geography and well, no, like GPS, but it messes up with the magnetism of the Earth and stuff like that. So you had that. It interfered with like radio transmission, so they couldn't send out SOS. The other one says that a full moon sent icebergs toward the Titanic's path.
Yes.
Okay. Because
I'm sorry,
I'm so close to the Earth, unusually close, that it created such a strong tide that it sent like an armada of icebergs toward the Titanic, right?
The moon is Thanos.
I could just imagine like a light beam coming from the moon, and then all of a sudden, just freaking icebergs rising towards the Titanic.
Well, the reason that people kind of latch onto this is because it was supposedly the closest that the moon has been since the year 796. and we won't see anything like that happen again until 2257. So they're saying this was like a once in a lifetime event, and the moon sent the icebergs, right?
No.
It sent it. I like the way they phrase it.
Yes.
It sent it. Oh god.
The other one, which is interesting because it's either just dumb luck or somebody really, really nefarious. The crew didn't have enough binoculars.
No,
I mean,
no, you're making this up.
No, I kid you not. According to this theory, if they had binoculars, they would have been able to spot the iceberg earlier. But because it was locked behind a drawer and key, and the officer who had the keys was mysteriously taken off the ship before it launched. The reason why is because they didn't have enough binoculars on the ship to see it.
That is.
I'm sorry,
so
but that.
dumb.
Look, I'm saying that is. Forget it. You're not having enough binoculars. That's why the Titanic.
I mean, do you even? I mean, yes, it helps to spot it.
Yeah,
because like you said, it's a really big ship.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're blaming it on the people. It's like me. Look, it's like this. I'm blaming you for dying because you fell off the cliff and you didn't have a rope. You didn't attach a rope to a tree. You fell off the cliff with no rope. That's why you're dead. You understand what I'm saying? You see what I mean with binoculars?
I opt to move on.
Yeah.
Okay. The last one before we get to our main conspiracy. You have two?
Yeah, because you have...
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So the next one has to deal with the ship's number. Do you know about this one?
Oh my god. This is actually a main one, surprisingly.
Okay, so the people that built this this ship, they belong to the company of Harland and Wolff in Belfast, Ireland, right? Catholic employees were kind of distressed at the fact that the ship's number, which was 390904, if you looked at it in the mirror reverse, it read the words "No Pope," and so because of that, they thought that the ship was cursed. Right, it was a blasphemous ship, and it was cursed because the people who built this was, I guess, anti-Catholic. And the no Pope thing was kind of like a sign that would foretell the sinking of the ship. Basically, it's telling of the ship's doom. You
know what's even funnier? There was no recollection of there ever being a number like that. It's literally just a story. Like, there is no evidence at all. It's not plausible at all because it was completely disproven. There was no number that said no Pope. Yes. There was no number at all. So somebody just made that up. No Pope.
Well, the thing about it is that a Titanic historian actually said that he received letters from people in Ireland talking about the stories, but that story really got traction in the 1950s. So, but like you said, the book "The Night Lives On" totally debunked that notion because there was no such number on the Titanic. But the thing about it is that there is a Titanic museum in both Missouri and Tennessee, and people still ask about that. So
probably for jokes, probably for kicks.
I don't know.
But anyway,
so those are some of the weirder, crazier theories dealing with science and religion. Let's talk about
the second next best thing.
Yes, which is
Mummy.
Is that the second? What's the first? Okay,
that one's the most. I don't know what to say.
I'm sorry, you did.
Yes, we are
like
going.
Brendan Fraser's the Mummy. What?
Imhotep was on the Titanic.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
I should just leave.
Look.
Seriously.
The only thing I can say about this is that mummies' curses. I mean, they are a thing. I mean, it's not. It all depends on what you believe, because you have what was it? You have plenty of different sort of curses, quote unquote.
The Curse of the Mummy.
But apparently,
Titanic edition.
Yeah, there were like three different ways that this could have happened with the mummy, which is just freaking insane. 3 different ways that a mummy could have cursed the Titanic. First, I don't know which, but basically what happened was, to make this very quick and simple, there was a person on board who was telling stories, basically of the mummy that cursed the Titanic. He was telling stories about it. What was it called? The Mummy's Vengeance or something like that. And apparently, people seem to believe that the stories that he told was true. The Mummy's Vengeance was a thing, and he was coming after the dude who was telling stories, who was on the boat, the Titanic, and then the Titanic sunk. That's the first variant of this mummy curse.
That doesn't even say what the
there are 2 other mummy curses that could have happened. You had, I don't remember their names for sure. I mean, to be exact, one started with an S, but forget it. 2 mummy curses, basically. Both of these were practically the same. They were bringing on a mummy artifact.
Yes.
Onto the Titanic. One was warned not to take it with him. The other, not so much. At least I don't think so. And
one actually had a curse on it.
Yeah.
So the one that is like the main mummy curse for Titanic, it's actually an urban legend. It's based on Amun-Ra's priestess, who lived back in 1050 BC. So she was discovered in Egypt in 1890. And somebody bought the mummy to bring it to the British Museum. And they actually donated it, but at the British Museum, they had a whole bunch of problems, not only for the staff, but for the visitors as well, because of this mummy, the mummy curse, right? Eventually it was purchased by a journalist who he literally bought it because, well, I don't know if he literally bought it, but he kind of said, well, you know what, the claims of this curse is just circumstance. It's not really true. And so the legend has it that on the Titanic, he brought this mummy on board, but he hid it from the people and the Titanic because he had to they put it underneath the car. So they strapped it underneath the car so that nobody would see it, because he was afraid that the legend of this mummy would get out to, I guess, the crew of the Titanic, and they wouldn't allow him to bring it on. Needless to say, the theory goes is that the mummy's curse enacted and raised its evil head and caused the sinking of the Titanic. So
he strapped it under the car. What type of person? Oh my god!
And it gets even better because you know what? He didn't tell anybody about the mummy until the night before the accident. It was only then, when he was on board and they were already in the middle of the voyage, where he told other passengers, oh, by the way, I've got a mummy under my car. Just so you know.
That is amazing.
So, the British Museum never got the mummy, according to official records. Conspiracy theory. They only got the lid of the sarcophagus, and it's on display at the museum. And you know what the name that they gave this mummy? The Unlucky Mummy. There you go.
That is amazing.
Now, I'll say this. As far as conspiracy theories go, it's kind of tame because what I was expecting when I heard the curse of the mummy is that somebody brought in mummies and the mummies, came to life and started wreaking havoc all over the place. It was kind of like a mummy infestation on the Titanic, but that's not what happened.
Imagine
that would make a pretty interesting movie,
right? That's literally what I was about to say. Imagine Leonardo DiCaprio
running for his life from Imhotep.
Yes.
And Brendan Fraser comes and saves him.
Oh God, that is amazing. That is literally amazing.
AJ's in shock right now. The boy literally doesn't know what to say.
Yes.
I mean, just the
speechless,
clearly targeted, like, Near Eastern hysterics alone. I can't even.
The mummy.
Yes.
The mummy. So
I don't.
So
I'm
now,
just stop.
Now,
Stop right now.
All right.
For the
we're
final,
hit the final one.
Final villain.
Yes.
The Destroyer of Worlds
is a bank.
There you go.
Right.
I knew that was last.
Yes.
We had to do that one for last, right?
Yes, he's the Destroyer of Worlds.
Explain.
Wiped out half the universe in 2019
with an ATM snap.
Yeah, he had a gauntlet. It was ATM. And
this one is embraced, I believe, by QAnon.
Yes, it is.
This theory is actually sponsored by the folks over at the QAnon joint, right?
Just flashing JP Morgan in their face.
There he is. There he is. Go.
In all his glory and destruction.
Oh my God.
JP Morgan, also known as the founder of Chase. What's the punchline?
JP Morgan Chase.
No, but what's the punchline for Chase? It's like, because I know you have Allstate and then
Chase is
Chase because you can.
I think so.
Yeah, it's Chase because you can. Chase.
Well,
because you can.
Because he could.
Yeah,
and that's why he did.
And that's why, yes.
So what did he do? What did he do?
Now,
give us some thoughts on this final conspiracy theory that we're gonna hit right here. What exactly did Mr. Morgan do?
This was, oh my gosh. Okay. Where's JP Morgan's face? Okay. Basically, yeah. There was a lot of rich people on board.
Particularly 3 that he was after.
Yeah. You had John Jacob Astor, who was a mining magnate.
There you go.
I don't know. Benjamin Guggenheim.
Oh,
I don't know.
They have a museum in our city.
That's Solomon.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're part of the same.
Okay.
I'm gonna check that while Eli gives us the other people.
Macy's co-owner Isidore Straus. I need to say this right now. There's major respect for Strauss right now. I will explain why.
Yes.
Okay.
Sibling to Solomon Guggenheim.
Respect to Strauss.
Yep.
Anyway. These 3 wealthy people, like they lost their lives. Unfortunately, was it intentional?
You
never know, because JP Morgan might have been planning it.
All
along.
That's pretty Thanos-like, right?
Yeah, I have to say that is an evil scheme.
1,500 people just because you're after 3.
Yes,
it
very is.
That's pretty dark.
Yep.
You know?
But basically, Shoot, Morgan, the I think it was like he canceled his trip right before the Titanic was set to sail, to apparently, guess what, it's not suspicious at all, but what he did was he was going to buy tapestries for his art collection in Europe. In Europe. Tapestries for his art collection. That is not suspicious at all.
Right.
Well, the whole thing is, and again, this is, as I said before, this is kind of in connection to QAnon, because they have always said that there's a secret plot by a deep state, right? Against then President Trump and his supporters, and so they look to this as kind of like, hey, look, people are doing this, because the theory goes that Morgan wanted to kill these three guys because they opposed the creation of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. The only problem is that the guy Astor and Guggenheim never really took a solid position for it, at least officially. The only one that did was Strauss. Now, whether there was inside information where, J.P. Morgan actually knew that they had this, but that's kind of what this theory is. I mean, that's kind of really, really dark. If you, like I said before, that's almost Thanos like, because you're killing 1,500 innocent souls
just to get rid of three.
Right?
Yeah.
So
that's basically, I mean, that's really just how it was with J.P. Morgan and his evil schemes. And if I'm being serious, bro, like, I mean, okay, maybe yes, no, yes, it very much is over planning. He's going the extra mile with this. I mean, like you said, 1,500 is very not cool, not good at all, because these are innocent people you're talking about, just to protect your Federal Reserve. I mean, okay.
I mean,
it's not that I'm not gonna say it's not plausible. Well, it's not plausible. Yes, it is not plausible, but the plausibility levels are sort of there.
Well, if you gotta look at what J.P. Morgan is, right? Because at the time he was probably, if not probably the most powerful man out there, because he was integral in the formation of U.S. Steel, General Electric, Aetna, Western Union, 21 railroads. I mean, he had a hand in a lot of things, notwithstanding, the banking stuff. So, he was literally, he's been kind of known as the driving force behind, the industrial age here in the United States. I mean, he really, really was. He was uber powerful. If there's somebody that can kind of pull the strings on the deep state,
quote unquote,
not to mention,
he'd be the one, right?
Apparently, I remember from reading this, he also I think he owned White Star Lines.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that might have been somebody else, but I'm pretty sure J.P. Morgan had some hand in White Star Lines. So it's definitely not plausible, but look, the conflict was there. There's definitely no reason for him to really act on it. And I mean, to overplan this sort of thing, it's like all other theories, you're overplanning. It's always, so it's definitely not plausible.
Yeah, you're right. He financed the formation of the International Mercantile Marine Company, and guess who one of the subsidiaries of IMMC was? The White Star Line, which owned the Titanic.
It's still not plausible for me at all.
So now the only thing that I would say is this, okay? One of the things that happened, it was such a huge disaster that company actually had to file for bankruptcy 3 years later. So, but the thing about it is that World War One actually, because of everything that happened, World War One actually saved that company. But it's kind of weird that he's involved in something that tanked an entire company. If it wasn't for a ginormous once in a lifetime war, that company would have gone bankrupt. Now, you're gonna make the case he's such a uber billionaire, trillionaire, right? That's just a drop in the bucket for him, and for him to further his agenda and stopping the Federal Reserve, he's willing to throw away one of these companies.
Yeah.
Deep state, right?
Damn.
So
I'm not trying to agree with any of you. I just want to put this out there. You have your own opinions, right? First off, I respect that. We are sort of poking fun at things a little bit. But look, if it's your opinion, it's your opinion. And you never know, right? You always never know. Everything is unexpected, right? So, yeah.
All right. So on that note, let's rate these things. Which is, I think, obviously. Well, do we go craziest first, or do we do most probable?
Most plausible.
Most plausible were the first two that we threw out there, right?
So for me, the most plausible out there right now is
which one?
Hold on. It's the oh damn! Okay, the U-boat. The U-boat. The U-boat. That was the most plausible.
Final answer.
Yes, final answer. Second most was obviously the. Not again. Not again.
Should we play the song again?
No. The second most plausible was the Oh God. There's too many theories out there, I swear.
There is.
Second most plausible was obviously
that it never left.
Yes, thank you. That it never
the
left.
Insurance scam.
Yeah. The third most plausible for me is JP Morgan, surprisingly enough.
I mean,
I'm not going to put premonition and mummies.
Yeah, only because the other ones can tend to get a little wacky.
There's a huge gap in how plausible things are from wrong the Olympic HMS Olympic and JP Morgan. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big gap between those two. But then there's a bigger gap between the others in terms of
premonition,
no Pope, and premonition, and
premonition is actually sort of close with JP Morgan.
The aurora, the solar storm.
Oh God, no! I'm not even including that on that list.
I think the craziest has to be the Mummy, though, right?
Yep. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
I think that's where we land on. The craziest is the Mummy,
and then obviously Godzilla at first.
Well, yeah.
Well, that one is non-existent.
That is real.
It's non-existent.
It is. It is.
I literally made it up based off of artwork.
No, it is totally real.
All right.
Right.
So on that note, we're concluding this conspiracy corner, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
we are.
My brain is a little fried right now.
Mine that.
I think I
never want to hear about Mummies and Titanic again.
I think AJ lost his halfway through this podcast.
You know what's funny? Quick sidebar. I actually had a nightmare on board a cruise about mummies.
What?
Like the cruise went to Egypt for some reason. But by the time it got there, it was overrun by mummies. It was really, again, this was at a time where my imagination ran wild. I was a little kid and I did see the Mummy movie.
Where were you?
I was on an actual cruise.
Were you
when I had that nightmare?
Mummies?
Oh, no. Okay, no. So
What?
He was running from mummies as a kid.
Yeah.
yes, in the dream. But that's a see. Just bringing that up, I regret it as much as I did hearing about that.
He's gonna have
conspiracy
nightmares
theory.
tonight.
Nightmares about the mummy. I'm on the Titanic. The mummy is here to kill me.
Hey, Benny. Hey, Benny.
Benny, are you there? Benny, are you there? Yes,
O'Connell.
yes, Papa.
Who has all the horses? Hey, Benny, you're on the wrong side of the river.
Oh, what the heck is that?
That's from the movie.
Oh, I thought that was like you were trying to like. I thought that was like a recreation of your dream with
All right.
little Timmy and his father, Benny, getting eaten by the mummies.
No.
Oh God.
All right. On that note, thank you all for joining us on this Conspiracy Corner. I am Walt.
Regrettably, AJ.
Eli. And
may our mummies sarcophagus
no, that is just
cross together.
I was
May our
about to say something.
transatlantic routes cross again.
Yeah, I was about to say something that. Okay, this is better. May our icebergs cross again.
You don't want them to cross again.
That's like crossing streams. All right. Later, people.